When I was 13, my father got me pregnant. That is the blunt truth. But it wasn't the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was when my mother found out. She didn't call the police. She called the family doctor. The most painful part was when that doctor, a friend of my father's, performed an illegal abortion and never reported the crime. He called it solving the problem. They erased the evidence. They thought they had erased me. They were wrong. My name is Alice Johnson. I am 69 years old. I am the living proof they could not erase. This is the story of what happened when all the good people in a perfect town decided that a man's reputation was more important than a child's life. And this is why I have spent the last 50 years making sure it never happens again. If you are listening from anywhere in the world, please leave a comment and subscribe, because there are truths that need to be spread, even if they shake your beliefs. There are stories, no matter how painful, that must be told. I was born in 1956. While my father built that perfect public reputation, my mother, Susan, was the architect of our perfect home. She was a dedicated, religious homemaker, focused entirely on keeping the house, the family, and our image flawless. We were 2 children. I was the oldest, and my younger brother, Michael, was born in 1959. We lived in a beautiful colonial home in the historic district, a house that screamed successful family to everyone who passed by. My early childhood was normal, happy, even. I played in the yard. I went to a private Catholic school. I had friends. My father worked long hours at his practice. My mother took care of the house. Everything seemed to be in order. But when I was 10, in 1966, something changed. My father started paying me different attention. At first, it was small things. He would ask me to sit on his lap for longer than was appropriate. He would hug me in ways that made me feel uncomfortable. He would come into the bathroom when I was in there, saying, "I just need something quickly." I was 10 years old. I didn't have words for what I was feeling. I just knew something was wrong. But how do you question your father? How do you say no when he is your authority? One night, when I was 10, my father came to my room after everyone was asleep. "Alice, are you awake?" "Yes, Dad. I need to talk to you about something important. About how your body is changing." "What do you mean?" "You're growing up, you're becoming a young lady, and there are things you need to know, things a father must teach his daughter." I didn't fully understand, but I trusted him because he was my father. I am not going to describe what happened that night. I can't. I don't need to. What you need to know is this. My father, the respected dentist, the Rotary Club member, the man who went to church every Sunday, crossed a line he should never have crossed, and he told me, "This is normal. It's part of growing up. All fathers do this with their daughters, but it's private. It's between us. Don't tell your mom. She wouldn't understand." I was 10 years old. I believed him. Because why would a father lie? It happened again, and again, and again. Always late at night, always when my mother and brother were asleep, always with the same words. "This is normal. This is education. Don't tell anyone." Months passed, from 10 to 11. I began to change. I became quiet, withdrawn. I stopped playing with my friends. I stopped smiling. My mother noticed. "Alice, what's wrong with you? You're so serious lately." "Nothing, Mom." "Problems at school?" "No." "Then what?" "I'm just tired." I lied. But how could I tell her the truth? At 11, I tried to tell her indirectly. "Mom, is it normal for dads to come into your room at night? Your dad comes into your room, sometimes to talk about what? About things." "What things?" "Just things." My mother looked at me curiously. "Alice, your dad loves you. If he comes to your room, it's to make sure you're okay, to say goodnight. That's what good fathers do." But what? "Nothing. You're right." I didn't push, because I saw that my mother didn't want to understand. She didn't want to see. The abuse continued. From 11 to 12, from 12 to 13, and my father became more careless, or perhaps more arrogant, thinking he would never be discovered. At 12, I noticed changes in my body. I was developing. My period came, and my father noticed too. "You're all a woman now," he told me one night. "No, Dad, I'm only 12. But your body is a woman's, and that means new lessons." I didn't want new lessons. I wanted it all to stop. But I didn't know how to make it stop. At 13, I noticed something else. My period didn't come. It had been regular for a year, but now nothing. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I was scared, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to tell. Finally, my mother noticed. "Alice, when was your last period?" I don't know." "You don't know? Girls should keep track." "It's been about 3 months." My mother frowned. 3 months. That's not normal. Maybe there's a problem. "We're taking you to the doctor." My heart sank, because I knew. I knew what the doctor was going to find. I knew what 3 months without a period meant. But how could I tell my mother? How could I say, "I'm pregnant by Dad"? My mother took me to Dr. Martin. He was the family doctor. He had been our doctor for years. He knew my father. They were friends, members of the same club. "Good morning, Susan." "Alice. What brings you in today?" "Doctor, Alice hasn't had her period in 3 months. I'm worried." "I see. Well, let's do an exam. Alice, come into the exam room." He examined me, asked questions, took samples, and after a few minutes he stopped. His face changed. "Mrs. Johnson, I need to speak with you outside." They left. I heard them talking in low voices. Then my mother yelled, "What? No, that's impossible." They came back in. My mother was pale, shaking. Dr. Martin looked serious. "Alice," my mother said, her voice trembling. "The doctor says you are pregnant." I saw my mother's eyes in that moment. It wasn't worry for me. It was fear. The fear that the perfect wall she had built was crumbling. And she chose to protect that wall instead of her own daughter. I didn't answer. "Is it true?" I nodded slowly. "Before continuing, I need to say something. When a 1-3-year-old child is pregnant, that is evidence of a crime. There is no maybe. There is no ambiguity. It is abuse. And any medical professional who sees it has a legal and ethical obligation to report. But as you will see in this story, that obligation is not always fulfilled." My mother started to cry. "How? How did this happen? Do you have a boyfriend? Who was it?" I didn't answer. "Alice, answer me," Dr. Martin intervened. "Ma'am, please, let me speak with Alice alone." "Alone? No, I'm her mother. I need to know, and you will. But first, I need to speak with her in private. It's protocol." My mother, though unhappy, left. I was alone with Dr. Martin. "Alice," he said softly, "I need you to be honest with me. Who is the father of the baby?" Silence. "Alice, you're not in trouble, but I need to know. Do you have a boyfriend?" "No." "Then how did you get pregnant?" More silence. "Did someone do something to you? Did someone hurt you?" I nodded. "Who?" Tears started running down my face. "Alice, who was it?" "My dad." Dr. Martin sat completely still. "Your dad? Richard?" Right then, I saw it. I saw the choice forming in his eyes. He wasn't looking at me like a 1-3-year-old patient begging for help. He was looking at me like a problem that could affect his respected friend. This is the moment. The man who took an oath to do no harm just made a choice. He chose a reputation over a child. And Alice, in that sterile room, is about to learn just how alone she truly is. "Yes. Richard Johnson, your father." "Yes." "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Since when?" "Since I was 10. 3 years." Dr. Martin sat down. He ran his hand over his face. "My God, can you help me? I need to think. This is very serious, Alice." "I know. Does your mom know?" "No. Nobody knows. Just you. And does your father know you're pregnant?" "I don't think so." Dr. Martin was silent for a long time. Then, "All right. I'm going to talk to your mom. Stay here." He left. I heard them talking. Low voices, but I couldn't hear the words. After a few minutes, my mother came in alone. Her face was red. She had been crying, but she was also angry. How could you, Alice? How could you do this? Accuse your father of something like this? Mom, it's true. No, it's not true. Your father is a good man, a respected man. He would never do something like that. But Mom, the doctor says I'm pregnant. Fine, that happens. Girls make mistakes. But you are not going to destroy this family by accusing your father. I'm not accusing. I'm telling the truth. The truth is, you're pregnant, and you're trying to blame someone. And you chose your father. Why? Because you're angry with him? Because he disciplined you? No, Mom. Because he's the one. Enough. I don't want to hear any more of this. The doctor is going to fix this tomorrow. And then we will never speak of this again. Understood? Fix it? Yes. A procedure to end the pregnancy. An abortion. Don't use that word. It's a medical procedure. And it's necessary. You're 13. You can't have a baby. But Mom, you need to know that Dad, I'm not listening anymore. Your father is innocent, and if you ever say anything like that again, there will be consequences. Do you understand me? Yes, Mom. That night at home, my mother said nothing to my father. She acted as if everything was normal. Dinner, conversation, television. As if I wasn't pregnant. As if I hadn't just told her my father had been abusing me for 3 years. My father looked at me at dinner. How was your day, Alice? Fine, Dad. Did you go to the doctor with your mom? Yes. Everything okay? Yes, Dad. I was lying. Because my mother had made it clear, I could not tell the truth. The next day, my mother took me back to Dr. Martin's office. This time, my father didn't know. He thought we were out shopping. Good morning, Alice. Good morning, doctor. Are you ready? For what? For the procedure, your mom explained. Right? I nodded. It's quick. It won't hurt much. And then all of this will be over. Doctor, are you going to tell anyone? About my dad? Dr. Martin looked at me. Alice, that's complicated. Why is it complicated? Because your dad is my friend, and he's a respected man. And accusations like that, they can destroy lives. And my life doesn't matter? Of course it matters. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm helping you. I'm fixing the problem. But you're not going to report. Report what? That my dad, that he did this to me. Alice, I don't have proof of that. I only have your word. And your mom says it's not true. So, there's nothing to report. So you're just going to ignore it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm helping you. Now, lie down here. We're going to start. The procedure was fast, painful, both physically and emotionally, because I realized this doctor, this medical professional who had a duty to protect me, had chosen to protect my father. He had chosen to protect the family's reputation. He had chosen to fix the problem instead of facing the truth. After the procedure, Dr. Martin spoke to me. Alice, you're going to be fine. Rest today. Tomorrow you can go back to school. Doctor? Yes? No one is going to know about this? No. This is confidential. Between you, your mom, and me. No one else needs to know. Not even the police? No. Because there's no reason to involve the police. Understand? No. I don't understand. I'm 13. I was pregnant by my father. How is that not a reason to involve the police? Dr. Martin sighed. Alice, you're young. You don't understand how the world works. Sometimes it's just better to leave things alone, especially when they involve respected families. So my dad is just going to get away with it. Your dad didn't do anything, according to your mom. And without evidence, I can't accuse him of anything. I am the evidence. You were. Not anymore. The problem is solved. The problem is solved. Yes, their problem was solved. The evidence was erased. And I, a 3-year-old child, was left alone with my abuser. Nothing truly was solved at all. I went home that day, after the procedure. My mother acted as if nothing had happened. Go to your room. Rest. If anyone asks, tell them you have the flu. Okay, Mom. And Alice, yes? Never again. Talk about this to anyone. Understand? Yes, Mom. I went to my room, lay down, and cried. Not from the physical pain of the procedure, but from the pain of knowing that no one was going to help me. My mother didn't believe me. Dr. Martin wasn't going to report. And my father didn't even know I had been pregnant. He didn't even know he'd been found out. That night, during dinner, my father asked, "Where is Alice? She's sick. The flu. She's resting in her room. Oh, I should go check on her." "No, let her rest. I already brought her soup." My father nodded and continued eating, as if nothing. 2 days later, I went back to school. My friends asked, "Where were you?" "Sick. Flu. Are you better?" Yes, I was lying. I was not better, but how could I explain the truth? The days passed, the weeks, and slowly, life returned to normal. Except nothing was normal, because I knew my father would continue, and I knew no one would protect me. One night, 2 weeks after the abortion, my father came to my room. "Alice, are you awake?" My body tensed. "Yes, Dad. Are you feeling better?" "Your mom said you were sick." "Yes. Better." "Good, because I missed you." Our nightly conversations. "Dad, no. It's been long enough, and we need to continue your education. I don't want to." "It's not your decision, Alice. I'm your father, and I know what's best for you." This is chilling. The cover-up didn't stop the abuse. It enabled it. Knowing that every adult has already failed her, her father now operates with complete impunity. We're going to see how she survives this. Do you understand? Even after I was pregnant, even after I had that procedure, it didn't stop. This is the truth about abuse. It doesn't stop just because the victim endures. It only stops when someone makes it stop. And he continued, as if nothing had happened, as if I hadn't been pregnant, as if a doctor hadn't had to fix the problem. Afterward, as he was leaving my room, my father stopped. "Your mom mentioned you went to the doctor a few weeks ago. Everything okay?" My heart pounded. Did he know? "Yes, Dad. Just a checkup." "A checkup? For what?" For my period. It wasn't coming regularly." "Oh, and what did the doctor say?" "He said it's normal. Sometimes it happens in teenagers." "I see. That's all they said?" "Yes, Dad. Are you sure?" "Yes." He looked at me for a long moment. "Good. But if there's ever a problem, you would tell me, right?" "Yes, Dad, because we're a family, and families protect each other. Understand?" "Yes." Dad left, and I knew. He suspected. He suspected something had happened. But since no one had said anything, since there were no consequences, he assumed he was safe. And he was right. He was safe. Because all the adults around me had chosen to protect him. My mother protected him by not believing me. Dr. Martin protected him by not reporting. And I protected him by staying silent. The months passed, from 13 to 14. The abuse continued. But now there was something different. Constant fear. Fear of getting pregnant again. Every month I waited for my period, and every time it came, I felt relief. Because it meant I wouldn't have to go back to Dr. Martin. I wouldn't have to go through another procedure. I wouldn't have more evidence destroyed. At 14, I tried to avoid my father. I stayed late at school. I made up activities. Anything to not be home alone. But my mother noticed. "Alice, why are you getting home so late every day?" "I have activities." "Homework. Study groups. Every day?" "Yes." "Are you avoiding being home?" "No, Mom. Because if you're doing this because of what you said about your dad, it's not about that." "Good. Because that topic is closed. It never happened, and I don't want you acting like it did." "Okay, Mom. But it had happened, and it was happening, and it would keep happening." At 15, my body started changing in ways I couldn't hide. I was developing more, and my father noticed. Others noticed too. Men on the street, teachers at school, stares that made me feel uncomfortable. And my mother noticed too. "Alice, You need to dress more modestly. What? Your clothes, they're too revealing. Mom, I'm wearing the school uniform. Yes, but the way you wear it, you need to be more careful. Men look. And that's my fault? I didn't say it's your fault. I'm just saying you need to be aware. And not provoke. I'm not provoking anything. Alice, I'm just trying to protect you. Protect me? How are you protecting me when I stopped? Because I knew if I finished that sentence, my mother would get angry. When what? Nothing, Mom. Good. Then just be careful how you dress, how you act. This moment right here. This is why so many children choose silence. When your own mother, the one who is supposed to protect you, tells you it's your fault that you provoked it, who else are you supposed to trust? The message was clear. If anything happened to me, it would be my fault. Because I provoked. Because I wasn't careful. At 15, something happened at school that changed everything. We had a presentation. An organization came to talk about child abuse, about signs, about how to get help. I was sitting in the auditorium, listening, and every word resonated. Child abuse can happen in any family. Rich, poor, educated, uneducated. Abusers are often people you trust. Family members, teachers, community leaders. Victims often don't speak up because they're afraid. Afraid of not being believed. Afraid of being blamed. If you know someone being abused, speak up. Tell a trusted adult, a teacher, a doctor, the police. After the presentation, they gave us brochures with phone numbers for local resources. If you need help, call. Someone will listen. Someone will believe you. I took a brochure. I put it in my backpack. And for the first time in years, I felt a little bit of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was someone who would help me. That night, I took out the brochure. I read the numbers. There was one for a local crisis center, open 24 hours, anonymous. I went to the house phone. It was late. Everyone was asleep. I dialed the number. It rang and rang and rang. Then, a voice. Crisis center. How can I help you? Hi, I need help. Okay, you're in the right place. What's your name? I don't want to say my name. That's okay. You can be anonymous. How old are you? 15. And what's going on? My dad, he's been hurting me for 5 years. Since I was 10. I'm so sorry. That is abuse. And it is not your fault. I know. But I don't know what to do. Have you talked to anyone? A teacher? A doctor? Yes. A doctor. 2 years ago. When I was 13 and I was pregnant. Pregnant by your father. Yes. And what did the doctor do? He did an abortion. But he didn't report. He didn't tell anyone. There was a pause. That is wrong. The doctor had an obligation to report. I know. But he didn't. He said it was complicated. That my dad is his friend. That he's a respected man. And your mom, does she know? I told her. She didn't believe me. She said I'm lying, that I'm trying to destroy the family. I understand. This must be so hard for you. It is. I don't know what to do. If I tell someone else, maybe they won't believe me either. Look, what you're describing is serious abuse. And there are laws, there are procedures. I can connect you with social services. They can investigate. But what if they investigate and find nothing? What if no one believes me? And then I have to keep living with my dad, but now he knows I talked? That is a risk. But I can't. I can't risk that. Then what do you want to do? I don't know. I needed to talk to someone. I needed someone to tell me I'm not crazy. That this is abuse. That it's not my fault. You are not crazy. This is abuse. And it is not your fault. After 5 years of being told she was crazy, those words, "It's not your fault," are a lifeline. This anonymous voice is the first crack of light in an absolute darkness. This small spark of validation will change her entire approach to survival. It is never the child's fault. Do you know what those words mean to a 5-year-old girl who believed she was crazy for 5 years? That was a lifeline. It was the first breath after drowning for so long. Thank you. Are you sure you don't want me to contact social services? No, not yet. Maybe when I'm older, when I can leave. Okay, but if you change your mind, call again. We're here. Always. I hung up. And even though I hadn't solved anything, I felt a little better. Because someone had believed me. Someone had said, "It's not your fault." The months passed, from 15 to 16. The abuse continued. But now I had a plan. I just had to survive 2 more years. 2 years until I turned 18. And then I could leave. I could get out of that house, away from my father. At 16, I got a part-time job at a store. It didn't pay much, but it was mine. And I started saving. Every dollar, every dime, for my escape. My father wasn't happy. "Why do you need to work?" "To have my own money." "I give you money. I want to earn my own." "It's because you want to buy things." Yes, I was lying. I wanted to save so I could leave. All right. But don't let the job interfere with school. Or with your responsibilities at home. It won't, Dad. But what he really meant was, don't let it interfere with your access to me. Because that's what he was really worried about. That if I worked, I spent less time at home. Less time available for him. The job gave me an excuse to be out of the house. "Sorry, Dad. I have a shift until 9. Again? Yes. They need extra help. And even though I didn't like the job, I liked the freedom, the ability to not be in that house, to not have to wait for my door to open in the night. At 16, I also met someone, a boy, Ryan. He was 18. He worked at the store next door. He was kind, normal. He didn't know anything about my situation. He started talking to me, asking me out. At first, I said no, because how could I have a normal relationship? How could I be someone's girlfriend when my father, but Ryan, was persistent and gentle? And eventually, I said yes. We started dating, just walks, coffees, conversations. And for the first time in 6 years, I felt something like normal. That feeling of normal was something I didn't even know I was missing. It felt like walking out of a dark, suffocating room and taking my first deep breath of fresh air in years. Ryan didn't just see me as a quiet, sad girl. He saw times me asterisk. His kindness was a small, warm light in the profound darkness I lived in. He became my anchor to the outside world, the one part of my life that my father hadn't poisoned. He was the hope that I clung to. My father, of course, was not happy. "You have a boyfriend?" "Yes, Dad." "What's his name?" "Ryan." "How old is he?" 18. "He's too old for you. Only 2 years. Still, I don't like it." "Why not?" "Because boys that age, they only want one thing." The irony was disgusting. Ryan's not like that. They're all like that. And I don't want you dating him. Too late. We're already dating. Alice, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you that I'm going to keep seeing him. Because in 2 years, I'm turning 18. And I'm getting out of this house, and you won't be able to stop me. My father went quiet. I think he knew I was right, that his control was ending, that in 2 years I would be free, and there was nothing he could do about it. That night, my father didn't come to my room, nor the next, nor the next. For a week, he left me alone, and I thought maybe he finally stopped. Maybe he finally understands I'm growing up, that he can't continue, but I was wrong. One night, a week after our confrontation, he came to my room. But this time, it was different. "Alice, we need to talk." "About what, Dad?" "About us? About what we've been doing all these years? What is there to talk about? I know you don't like it. I know you want it to stop. And it will stop. Soon." "When?" "When you turn 18. When you leave. But until then, things continue as usual. Understood? And if I say no, you don't have a choice. You're still a minor. You still live in my house. You are still under my control. Only for 2 more years. Exactly, 2 more years. And then you can go. You can live your life. You can pretend none of this ever happened. But until then, you follow the rules. Your rules. My rules. Because this is my house. and I am your father. And in that moment, I realized the next 2 years were going to be the hardest, because my father knew his time was running out, and he was trying to get everything he could before I was gone. The next 2 years were a countdown. Every day that passed was one day closer to my freedom, one day closer to turning 18, one day closer to being able to walk out of that house and never come back. From 16 to 18, I held on to 3 things that gave me hope: my job, my boyfriend Ryan, and my savings account. Every dollar I earned, I saved. Every tip, every birthday gift. It all went into my secret account, an account my father didn't know about, an account that represented my freedom. Ryan became my emotional escape. When I was with him, I could pretend I was a normal girl, with a normal life, with a normal future. He didn't know about my father. He didn't know about the pregnancy. He didn't know about Dr. Martin. And I didn't tell him. Because how do you explain something like that? How do you tell your boyfriend that your father has been abusing you for 8 years? After 6 months of dating, Ryan asked me, "Alice, are you ever going to let me meet your family? We've been together half a year, and I've never even been to your house. It's complicated." "Why?" "My dad, he's strict. He doesn't like boyfriends. But I'm serious about you. I want to meet him. Show him I'm a good guy, that I have good intentions. Ryan, trust me. It's better this way." "Why? Is there something you're not telling me?" "No. It's just my dad is complicated. All dads are complicated. But eventually, I have to meet him, right?" I sighed. "All right. But I warned you." A week later, Ryan came to dinner at my house. My mother cooked. My brother Michael was there, and my father acting like the perfect dad. Charming, interested, asking questions. "So, Ryan, what do you do?" "I work at an electronics store, sir. And I'm studying accounting in college." "College. Good. And what are your plans for the future?" "I want to open my own business someday. Maybe a chain of stores. Ambitious. I like it." My father smiled. And I hated him. Because he was acting like he was a good father, a protective father, a father who cared who his daughter was dating, when in reality, he was the one I needed protection from. After dinner, Ryan spoke to me. "Your dad is great. I don't know why you were so worried. Yeah, he's a really good actor." "Actor? Nothing. Forget it. Alice, sometimes I feel like there's something you're not telling me. Something about your family. About your dad. There's nothing." "Are you sure? Because sometimes you seem so tense around him. Like you're afraid." "I'm not afraid. It's just complicated." "Okay, I won't push. But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Thanks." But I didn't talk. Because how could I? After that dinner, my father became more possessive. "That boy, Ryan, I don't like him." "You said you liked him." "I said he was ambitious. I didn't say I liked him for you." "Why not?" "Because he's 18. Because he probably wants things that you shouldn't be giving him. Yet, things like, what?" "You know what? No, Dad. I don't. Explain it to me." My father got uncomfortable. "Physical things. Intimate things." "Oh, like the things you do to me?" The words were out before I could stop them. My father froze. "What did you say?" "Nothing." "No, you said something. Repeat it." "I said nothing. I just said that Ryan respects me. He doesn't do things to me." Unlike I stopped. My father stepped closer. "Be careful what you say. Be very careful." "Or what? You'll punish me? Like you've been punishing me for 6 years? You're not being punished. You're being educated. No, I'm being abused. And you know it. If that's what you think, why don't you tell someone? Why don't you call the police? Why don't you tell your boyfriend? Because nobody will believe me." My father looked confused. "Nobody believed you about what? What are you talking about?" "About when I was 13 and pregnant." My father's face went white. "Pregnant?" he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. "You were pregnant?" "Yes." "By you?" He stared at me, the color draining from his face as he processed the word. "When? How?" When I was 13, Mom found out. She took me to Dr. Martin. Dr. Martin, he repeated, still reeling. And he solved the problem, Dad. He did an abortion. He protected you. My father was silent for a long moment, the shock visibly turning into calculation as he absorbed the full implication. His expression hardened. No, he said finally. He protected the family. He understood that sometimes things are complicated. They're not complicated. You abused your daughter. You got her pregnant, and a doctor covered it up. Careful, Alice. You're talking about things that could destroy this family. You already destroyed this family. My father raised his hand. I thought he was going to hit me, but he stopped. 2 more years. Just 2 more years. And you're gone. And you'll never have to see me again. But until then, you are still under my roof, and you still follow my rules. He left, and I was shaking, because I had crossed a line. I had spoken up. I had confronted, and I didn't know what consequences would come. When a victim finally finds their voice, even if it's just to confront the abuser, it's a powerful moment, because for years, silence is enforced, fear is controlling, but there comes a point where the silence hurts more than speaking. That night, my father didn't come to my room, nor the next. For 2 weeks, he avoided me completely. He didn't talk to me. He didn't look at me. He acted as if I didn't exist. And honestly, it was a relief. My mother noticed. Did you fight with your dad? Something like that. About what? About things. Alice, your dad loves you. Whatever it was, you should apologize. I'm not apologizing. Why are you so stubborn? He's your father. He deserves respect. Respect is earned, Mom, and he hasn't earned it. My mother looked at me with disapproval. I don't know what's gotten into you lately. So rebellious. So disrespectful. You want to know what's gotten into me? Really? Yes. Tell me. Dad has been abusing me since I was 10. That's why I was pregnant when I was 13. That's why Dr. Martin did the abortion. That's why I'm rebellious. Because I have been surviving abuse for 6 years. My mother went quiet. Then, we already talked about this, years ago, and I told you it's not true. It is true. And you chose not to believe me. I chose to protect this family. No, you chose to protect Dad, not me. If it was true, if it was really true, why would you wait until now to say it again? Because I'm tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of acting like everything is okay. Tired of living in this house of lies. Then leave. If it's so terrible, just leave. Her mother's final choice. Faced with the undeniable truth, she chooses to banish the victim rather than confront the abuser. This is the moment Alice realizes she has no mother. She is truly on her own. I'm going to. In 18 months, when I turn 18, and you will never see me again. Fine. Maybe that's for the best. Because clearly, you don't appreciate what this family has done for you. What it's done for me? What has it done? Except allow Dad to abuse me for 8 years? Enough. I'm not listening to any more of this. Go to your room. I went to my room. And I knew I had burned the bridge with my mother. But honestly, I didn't care. Because that bridge was already broken. It had been broken since I was 13, and I told her, "The father is my dad," and she chose not to believe me. The next few months were tense. My father and I barely spoke. My mother was angry with me. My brother Michael didn't understand what was happening, but he felt the tension. The only person who kept me sane was Ryan. "Are you okay? You seem stressed." "I'm fine. Just family problems. Want to talk about it?" "No. I just want to be with you. Be somewhere where everything is normal." "Okay. Then let's be normal." And for a few hours, I could pretend. I could be just Alice. Not the abused daughter. Not the one who got pregnant at 13. Not the one who was ignored by a doctor. Just Alice. A girl with a boyfriend. With hopes. With futures. When I was 17 and a half, Ryan proposed something. Alice, when you turn 18, what are you going to do? Leave home. Where to? I don't know. Maybe rent a room with roommates. What if you move in with me? With you? Yeah, we can rent an apartment together. I work, you work. We can split the rent. Ryan, I know it's fast, and I know we're young. But I love you. And I want to help you. I want you to be out of that house that you hate so much. Why do I hate it so much, Ryan? I've never told you. No. But I can see it. I can see that something there is hurting you. And even if I don't know what it is, I want to get you out of there. Tears ran down my face. Ryan, there are things you don't know about me. Things about my family. Things that if you knew, maybe you wouldn't want to be with me. I doubt that. It's about my dad. What about him? I breathed deep. It was time. My dad has been abusing me since I was 10 for 7.5 years. And when I was 13, I got pregnant by him, and a doctor did an abortion, but he didn't report. And my mom, she doesn't believe me. And I've been living with this for 8 years, and that's why I want to leave. Not just because I want independence, but because I need to escape. Ryan sat completely still. He didn't say anything for what felt like an eternity. That silence that was perhaps the most terrifying moment. Because I was used to being denied. I was used to not being believed. I thought he would be just like my mother, just like Dr. Martin. Then, my God, Alice, I didn't know. Now you know. And if you want to break up with me, I get it. It's a lot. Break up with you? Are you crazy? I'm not breaking up with you. I'm helping you. We're getting you out of there. Now, yes, now. You can't stay there another day. But I'm not 18 yet. Technically, I'm a minor. If I leave, my parents can. Let them try. In 6 months, you're 18. Until then, you stay with me. And if your parents cause problems, we'll tell everyone the truth. The police, social services, everyone. Ryan, no one will believe me. I already tried. The doctor didn't believe me. My mom didn't believe me. Then we'll find someone who does believe you. But first, I'm getting you out of that house. 2 days later, while my parents were out, I packed my things, clothes, documents, my saved money, and I left. I left a note. I'm gone. Don't look for me. When I turn 18, I'll be in touch to arrange documents. But I am not coming back to that house. Ever. I moved in with Ryan, to his small apartment. It wasn't much, but it was safe. And for the first time in 8 years, I slept through the night. No fear, no waiting for my door to open. Just peace. My mother called. Many times. Alice, come home. No. Your father is very upset. I don't care. You're a minor. We can have the police bring you back. Try it, and I'll tell them why I left. I'll tell them everything about Dad, about the pregnancy, about Dr. Martin. Everything. There was silence. Then, you wouldn't do that. Yes, I would, because I have nothing left to lose. I'm already gone. I'm already safe. And if you force me to come back, I will talk. And this time, I won't be quiet. That is the sound of freedom. The threat of the truth is now her only weapon, and it's the one thing her family fears more than anything. She has finally won her release, but the scars remain. Let's hear how she begins to heal. My mother hung up, and she didn't call back. 6 months later, I turned 18, officially an adult, officially free. And my father, he never looked for me. He never called. He never tried to contact me. I think he knew if he did, I would talk. And he couldn't risk that. The next few years were about healing. Slow. Difficult. Ryan and I got married when I was 20. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Because he had saved me. And I loved him for it. I went to therapy. I talked about the 8 years. About the pregnancy. About Dr. Martin. About my mother. About everything. And my therapist told me, Alice, what happened to you, it was not your fault. And all the adults who should have protected you, your mother, The doctor, they failed you. I know. But do you believe it? Really believe it? Sometimes. Other times, I still wonder, did I do something to provoke it? Did I do something wrong? No, you were a child. Children do not provoke abuse. Abusers choose to abuse, and adults choose to protect or not protect. Your father chose to abuse. Your mother chose not to believe. The doctor chose not to report. Those were their choices, not yours. In 1980, when I was 24, I had my first child, Liam. Ryan was excited. I was terrified. How could I be a mother when my own childhood had been so destroyed? But when I held Liam, I felt something. Determination. This child would be protected. This child would be believed. Always. The next few years were about rebuilding, learning to be a mother, learning to trust, learning that not all men were like my father. Ryan was patient, more patient than I deserved. Because my trauma, it affected everything. Our intimacy, my ability to trust, my constant hypervigilance with our children. During those early years of my marriage, starting in 1983, I had no contact with my family. Not my father, not my mother, not even my brother Michael. It was like that part of my life just didn't exist. But not existing and being healed are two different things. Those years with Ryan, even in safety, were a quiet, private battlefield. On the outside, I was a wife, a new mother. On the inside, I was still the 3-year-old girl, terrified. I had nightmares. I flinched when Ryan moved too quickly. I looked at my own son, Liam, and my love for him was mixed with a paralyzing fear of the world. The silence from my family was a different kind of pain, a constant, dull ache confirming that their reputation was, and always would be, more important than my truth. This was my hidden suffering, the long, slow work of just learning to breathe again, long after I had escaped the house. But in 1990, when I was 34, something happened that forced me to confront the past. I got a call. It was my brother Michael. Alice? It's Michael. Michael, how did you get my number? Mom gave it to me. She said she had it from when you called years ago. What do you want? I need to talk to you. About Dad. My heart sped up. What about him? He's sick. Cancer. The doctors say he has months. And? Alice, he's our father. He's dying. He's not my father. Not in any way that matters. Still with that? Alice? It's been 16 years since you left. When are you going to let the past go? Let the past go? Michael, did Mom ever tell you why I left? She said you were rebellious. That you didn't get along with Dad. That's all she said? Yes. Why? Is there more? I hesitated. Should I tell him? After all these years? Yes, Michael. There's more. A lot more. Like what? Dad abused me. From when I was 10 until I left at 17. 7 years. And Mom knew. And she chose not to believe me. Silence. Then, what? No. That can't be true. It is true. And when I was 13, I got pregnant by him. And a Dr. Martin, did an abortion. But he never reported. He protected Dad. Alice, that's a very serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's the truth. It's why I left. It's why I haven't spoken to him in 16 years. And it's why I'm not going to see him now that he's dying. But if that's true, why did you never go to the police? Because no one would have believed me. Just like you're not believing me right now. I didn't say I don't believe you. It's a lot to process. I know, but it's the truth. And you can choose to believe me or not. But I'm not going to see Dad. I'm not going to pretend he was a good father. Because he wasn't. He was an abuser. And now he's dying. And I feel nothing. Alice and Michael, after I left, I found out something else. Years later, I wasn't the only one. He did it to other girls. Girls in our neighborhood. It was only reported years after I was long gone, when another family finally spoke up. If Mom had stopped him, if Dr. Martin had reported him, maybe they would have been safe. Michael was silent on the other end. I never knew, Alice. I swear, I know you didn't. But Mom knew about me, and she has to live with that. Alice, tell Mom if she ever wants a relationship with me, she needs to acknowledge what happened. She needs to admit that she knew and she chose to do nothing. And until she does, I have nothing to say to her. I hung up, and I was shaking. Because after 16 years of silence, I had finally said the truth out loud to my brother, and I didn't know what would happen next. My father died 2 months later. He was 64. I didn't go to the funeral. My mother called. Alice, your father died. I'm sorry for your loss. That's it? I'm sorry for your loss? What else do you want me to say? He was your father. You should come to the funeral, say goodbye. I have nothing to say goodbye to. He wasn't a father to me. He was my abuser. And I'm glad he's dead. Alice, how can you say something like that? Because it's the truth. And for the first time in my life, I can breathe. Without fear, without wondering if someday he'll show up, without worrying about my children meeting him. He's dead. And that's the best thing he could have ever done for me. My mother cried. Do you really believe what you told Michael? About the abuse? I don't believe it. I know it. Because it happened to me. Every day. For 7.5 years. And you knew. I told you. When I was 13. And you chose not to believe me. I thought you were exaggerating. That you were confused. I wasn't confused. I was pregnant. By your husband. And you took me to Dr. Martin, and he did the abortion, and nobody reported. And Dad continued to abuse me for 4 more years. That's not confusion. That's reality. If it really happened, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. You should have believed me. You should have protected me. You should have reported. But you didn't. You chose your marriage over your daughter, and that I will never forgive. Alice, please, no, Mom. No more. Dad is dead, and our relationship is too. Unless you are willing to admit the truth, to acknowledge what happened, to really apologize. Okay. I admit I should have done more. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. And what? And do you acknowledge that Dad abused me? That he got me pregnant? That Dr. Martin covered it up? Yes, I acknowledge that probably happened. Probably. Do you hear that word? Even after he was dead, even after decades, my mother's denial was still stronger than my truth. That is a betrayal that lasts a lifetime. Probably. Alice, I didn't see everything. I wasn't there every night. But I told you. And that should have been enough. You're right. It should have been enough. And I am sorry. When a mother finally admits the truth decades later, it's bittersweet. Because yes, there is validation. But there's also the weight of knowing that if she had admitted it sooner, years of pain could have been avoided. After my father's death, I had a distant relationship with my mother. We saw each other occasionally. She met my children, but there was never any real warmth, because the betrayal was too deep. In 1995, when I was 39, I decided to do something I had been putting off for years. I confronted Dr. Martin. I went to his practice. He was still practicing. He was 70 years old now, but still working. Dr. Martin, I need to talk to you. Alice? Alice Johnson? Yes, my goodness. It's been how many years? 26 years. Since I was 13 and you performed the abortion. His face changed. Ah, that was a long time ago. For you, maybe. For me, it was yesterday. It's every day. For 26 years. What do you want, Alice? I want to know why you didn't report. When I told you my father got me pregnant, you had an obligation to report. You were required by law. And you didn't. It was complicated. No, it wasn't complicated. It was simple. A 3-year-old girl pregnant by her father. That is abuse. That is a crime. And you covered it up. Your mother, she said it wasn't true. And you believed her over me. The adult over the child. Richard, he was my friend. A respected man. I couldn't just... You could have. You should have. It was your legal and ethical obligation. And by not reporting, you allowed my father to continue abusing me for 4 more years. 4 years that could have been avoided if you had just done your job. I'm sorry. If I could go back. But you can't. And there's something else you need to know. I wasn't the only one. What? I wasn't the only girl my father abused. After I left, he abused other girls in the neighborhood, and you allowed that. Because you didn't report when you had the chance. How? How do you know there were others? Because they were eventually reported, years later, and when they were, they investigated. And they found a pattern that started with me, that you could have stopped. Dr. Martin sat down heavily. No, I didn't know. You didn't know because you chose not to know. You chose to protect your friend over protecting a child. And that choice, it had consequences. For me, and for other girls. What do you want me to do now? I want you to admit what you did. I want you to acknowledge that you failed. And I want you, if ever another child comes to you with evidence of abuse, you report. Always. No exceptions. Okay, I will. And Alice, I truly am sorry. Your apology comes 26 years late, but I accept it. I said I accepted not because his apology could fix anything. No, I accepted because I had spoken my truth. I had forced him to hear it. That was a small piece of my own justice. I walked out of there feeling relieved. Not because I had gotten justice, but because I had spoken my truth, and he had heard it. In 2000, when I was 44, I started volunteering at an organization that helped survivors of child abuse. I couldn't change my past, but I could help others with their presence. I listened to stories. I offered support. And sometimes I shared my own. One afternoon, a young girl came in. She was 16. She was pregnant. Who's the father? The social worker asked. My stepfather. And does your mom know? I told her. She didn't believe me. I heard that story and my heart broke. Because it was my story, more than 30 years later, and it was still happening. I approached her afterward. Hi, my name is Alice, and I want you to know something. I believe you. This is a powerful, full circle moment. Alice just became the person she needed so desperately when she was a child. She is turning her pain into protection, and this is the true beginning of her new purpose. The young girl burst into tears. You believe me? Yes, completely. And we're going to help you. Not like they helped me. We're going to do this right. And we did. We reported. They investigated. The stepfather was arrested. And that young girl, she didn't have to go back to that house. She had the abortion, if she wanted it, or support, if she chose to continue the pregnancy. She had options, protection, things I never had, and that gave me purpose. The following years, I helped dozens of girls and boys, all with similar stories, all ignored or disbelieved by the adults who were supposed to protect them. And every time I helped someone, I felt like I was healing just a little bit of my own past. In 2010, I decided to do something more. I started giving talks in medical schools, to future doctors, about the obligation to report. My name is Alice, and when I was 13, I was pregnant by my father. A doctor knew, and he didn't report. And because of that, my father continued to abuse me for 4 more years. And he abused other girls. All because one doctor chose to protect his friend over protecting a child. I told them the whole story. The pregnancy, the abortion, the non-reporting, the consequences. You are going to be doctors. You are going to see children. And some of those children will be being abused. And they will have signs, bruises, behavior, pregnancies. And when you see those signs, you have a legal, ethical, moral obligation. Report, always, no exceptions. I don't care who the abuser is. I don't care if he's your friend. I don't care if he's a respected person. You report. Because if you don't, you are complicit. You are part of the problem. The reactions were always strong. Some students cried. Some got angry. All of them understood the importance. One student asked me, "But what if we're wrong? What if we report and it's not abuse? Then the system investigates and determines it's not abuse. No one gets hurt. But if you don't report when it is abuse, a child continues to be hurt. Which is worse, an unnecessary investigation or a child who continues to be abused because you were afraid of being wrong? You're right. I know. Because I lived the consequences of a doctor who chose not to report. In 2015, the University of Maryland School of Medicine, where I gave the talk, implemented a new protocol, Alice's protocol. It required all students to take mandatory training on reporting child abuse. And they use my story as a case study. I cried when they told me, "You're going to use my story?" Yes, with your permission, because it's powerful, and it needs to be told. You have my permission. Use it. If my pain can educate even one doctor to report, then it's worth it. My mother died in 2018. She was 84. Our relationship, it never fully healed. But in her last days, she told me, "Alice, I know I failed you. I know I should have protected you, and I am sorry more than I can ever express. I know, Mom. Do you forgive me? I'm working on it. It's not easy, but I'm working on it. That's all I can ask." She died a week later, and even though our relationship was complicated, I cried because she was my mother, and there was a part of me that still wanted her love, her protection, even though I never got it when I needed it. Today is May 2025. I am 69 years old. It has been 59 years since my father started abusing me. 59 years since I was 10, and he came into my room that first night. 56 years since I was 13 and pregnant, and Dr. Martin chose not to report. And even though more than 5 decades have passed, the impact is still there. It will always be there. But today, I work full-time as an advocate for survivors of child abuse. I give talks, I train medical professionals, I work with legislators, and I share my story. Over and over and over. Because if my story can change even one protocol, save even one child, then it is worth reliving. In the last 15 years, I've seen significant changes in the U.S. New laws, better protocols, more training for mandated reporters. But there is still work to do, because there are still doctors who don't report. There are still mothers who don't believe. There are still children who are sent back to their abusers. 2 years ago, in 2023, I was invited to testify before Congress. They were considering a new federal law on reporting child abuse. They wanted to hear from survivors. I stood in front of dozens of legislators, and I told my story. Honorable members of Congress, my name is Alice Johnson. I am 67 years old, and when I was 13, a doctor held in his hands the evidence that my father was abusing me. I was pregnant by my own father. And that doctor, Dr. Martin, did not report. Why didn't he report? Because my father was his friend. Because my father was a respected man. Because he thought reporting would destroy a respectable family. And what happened because he didn't report? My father continued to abuse me for 4 more years, until I finally escaped at 17. And then, he abused other girls. Girls who could have been saved if Dr. Martin had just fulfilled his legal and ethical obligation to report. The law you are considering today would make it mandatory for all medical professionals to report suspicion of child abuse. Without exception, no matter who the abuser is, no matter the social or familial consequences. I am asking you to pass this law, not for me, it's too late for me, but for all the children who are being abused today, for all the children who will go to a doctor tomorrow with signs of abuse, for all the children who deserve to be protected. Because when a medical professional fails to report, they are not just failing that one child, they are enabling the abuse to continue. They are allowing more victims. They are complicit, from a silenced child in a bedroom in Annapolis to a powerful advocate speaking before Congress. This is the culmination of her life's work, turning her personal trauma into national change, ensuring that the respected men of the future can no longer hide. The legislators listened, they asked questions, and 3 months later the law passed, the Federal Child Protection and Mandatory Reporting Act. It requires all medical professionals, without exception, to report reasonable suspicion of child abuse. The penalty for not reporting: fines, loss of license, and in severe cases, criminal charges. When the law was signed, I was invited to the ceremony. The president handed me the pen he used to sign it. "Thank you for your bravery, Alice. This law will save lives." "I hope so, Mr. President. I hope so," I cried that day. Because it meant my pain had created change. It meant other children might not go through what I went through, at least not without someone trying to help them. This is the power of speaking up. The power of sharing your story. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it relives the trauma. But it also creates change. It creates laws. It saves lives. If you are a survivor, and you are listening to this, your story matters. Your voice matters. And it can make a difference. Today at 69, I look at my life and I see layers. The girl I was until 10. Happy, innocent. The girl from 10 to 17 who was abused, terrorized, betrayed. The young woman at 17 who escaped. Brave, determined. The woman who got married, had children, healed. Resilient. The activist who uses her trauma to create change. Powerful. All of those people are me. They deserve recognition. My family today is my foundation. Ryan, my husband of 48 years, died last year. Cancer. He was my rock, my protector, the man who saved me when I was 17 and had nowhere else to go. I owe him my life, and I miss him. Every day. My children, Liam and Sophia, now adults with their own families, they know my whole story, every detail. And I have taught them: believe your children, always. If ever one of my grandchildren comes with an accusation of abuse, they will be believed. They will be protected. It will be reported, without hesitation, without delay. My grandchildren, 5 in total, they are growing up in a world where I talk openly about abuse, where I teach them about bodily boundaries, about saying no, about that no one has the right to touch them in ways that make them feel uncomfortable, and about the fact that if anything does happen, they will always be believed. If I could talk to my 10-year-old self, I would say, what is about to happen to you is not your fault. You will feel like it is. You will think you did something to provoke it, but you didn't. You are a child, and children never cause abuse. Adults choose to abuse. Your father is going to tell you, it's normal, that it's education. Lies. It is not normal. It is abuse. And when you are 13 and pregnant and a doctor doesn't report, that is also a failure. Not yours. His. You are going to survive. It will take years, decades. But you will survive. And someday you will use this pain to create something good. To change laws. To save children. And that will make it worth it. If I could talk to Dr. Martin, I would say, you died in 2005, at 80, without ever facing legal consequences for not reporting. But your legacy is not that of a respected doctor. It's that of a man who held the evidence of child abuse in his hands and chose not to act, who chose to protect his friend over protecting a 13-year-old girl. And because of that choice, my father continued to abuse me, and he abused other girls. Their blood is on your hands just as much as it is on my father's. Because you had the power to stop him, and you chose not to use it. I hope in your final days you thought of me, of the girls you could have saved, and I hope it weighed on you. If I could talk to my mother, I would say, you died without our relationship fully healing, and that hurts me, because there was a part of me that still wanted your love, your protection. Even after everything, you said, I'm sorry, and I know you meant it, but your apology came 49 years too late. 49 years of carrying the betrayal that my own mother didn't believe me, that you chose your husband over your daughter, that you took me to that doctor, and then let the problem be solved without reporting. I didn't fully forgive you when you died, and I don't know if I ever will, but I understand you. I understand you were scared, that you didn't know what to do, that the system had failed you too. And while understanding isn't forgiving, it's something. And if I could talk to my father, I would say, You died 35 years ago. And I didn't go to your funeral. I didn't cry. I felt nothing except relief. Because finally, after 24 years of living in fear, I was safe. Safe that you could never hurt me again. You abused me for 7.5 years. You got me pregnant when I was 13, and after I left, you abused other girls. Girls in the neighborhood. Girls who trusted you as the respected dentist. All those girls that was your legacy. Not your dental practice, not your Rotary Club membership, but the lives you destroyed, including mine. I hope wherever you are, if there is any justice in the universe, you are facing the consequences you never faced in life. Today, my message is threefold. First, to survivors. Your story matters. Your pain is valid, and it is not your fault. I don't care what the abuser told you. I don't care if a doctor didn't report. I don't care if your mother didn't believe you. It was not your fault. You were a child, and children deserve to be protected. You weren't. But that was a failure of the adults, not yours. Speak when you are ready. Get help. And know that there are people who will believe you, who will support you, who will fight for you. Second, to the medical professionals listening. I have told you my story. I have told you about Dr. Martin. Do not be like him. You have a legal, ethical, and moral obligation. When you see the signs of child abuse, you report. Always, without exception. Do not be the professional who fails a child. Be the one who saves them. Third, to mothers. If your child tells you that someone is abusing them, believe them. Immediately. Without hesitation, without questioning, without worrying about the family reputation or the social consequences. Your first responsibility is to protect your child, not your husband, not your extended family, not your reputation, your child. My mother did not believe me, and that betrayal, it hurt me more than the abuse itself. Because the abuse came from my father, from whom I already expected nothing. But my mother, she was supposed to protect me, and she chose not to. Do not be like my mother. Be the mother who believes, the mother who protects, the mother who reports, the mother who saves. My name is Alice Johnson. I am 69 years old, and I am a survivor, not just of 8 years of abuse by my father, but of a system that failed to protect me, of a doctor who chose not to report, of a mother who chose not to believe, of a society that valued reputation over child safety. I have survived all of that, and I have turned that survival into activism, into change, into laws that protect children, into protocols that require reporting, into training that educates professionals. For so many years, I lived behind the perfect brick facade of Annapolis, a house rotting from the inside, where every window was sealed shut by silence. Telling this story was my journey of tearing that facade down. Now, at 69, I am not standing in the ruins. I used those very same broken, ash-stained bricks of the past to build a lighthouse. It doesn't hide, it illuminates, guiding others who are still lost in the dark. That light of truth needs to spread. Please subscribe to the channel to help me light up more stories together.